At this particular site, I'm going to go with guide Hugo, who is of Rapa Nui origin, that the Moai represent 7 kings from 7 different Polynesian islands that were erected to represent them, because archaeologists never found any graves underneath. Great private house that's built in the same manner that the early people of Rapa Nui lived in, except theirs was of grass and wood. These people built their houses in the shape of a boat, upside down, and that is the remnants of what an original house looked like. You can just see the foundations.
One side of the wood, bend it, put it on the other side, always keeping the shape of the boats upside down before you put the cover and then the grass on top. Outdoor, so they only have their houses for sleeping, which is why houses were only had this shape. This is the foundation. Before you put the grass on top of the cover goes with the layer of fat oil on it.
It was always low, so you had to crawl in and out of the house for defensive purposes.
From wells. That's why they hunt in winter, for the fat, to make fire, keep fire at night, and use
the
on
oil.
Top of the houses for rain, to keep the rain away from in winter.
We walked 20 minutes from our hotel. This is where most of the visitors come to watch the sunset. Tahai.
AD, some point during the 14 and 1500s, people had too many people on the island. One of the problems that they were having during the time of the 14 and 1500s is that food resources were going down because there were people stealing from people.
Honestly, a chicken house. Chicken was basically the only animal they had on this island besides bananas and a few pineapples. So the families built this great big long chicken house, and they would cover up different entrances with a rock. A rock from one of the egresses in the morning, let all the chickens out. Chickens run around all day, and at night the chickens would roost up high. The family would come out with a torch, a real torch, not a flashlight, blind them, grab the chickens, and throw them back in. Now the next day they would let the chickens out from a different way, so if anybody was watching, they would not know which entrance to steal their chickens. Hysterically funny. But it worked. Just looked like a big pile of lava to me. Where another house was right there, but there were many, many families. This was one of the 2 tribes on the northern side where they lived.
Coria was easier to carve, very delicate, easier to transport and move. The problem was that later they realized that it was too fragile. It can broke many times, the same piece. Back ash was good to make these statues, which are the same ones you see on platforms after the period of the statues, the tablets. From here there, this is all sacred. First people that came to the island, they used one statue to represent one person important in one family. 80 years, 90 years later, someone else died inside the same family, and only if they can pay, they make another statue and goes right next to the other one on top of the same platform, one statue for each person. And then 100, 200 years later, change idea, space reduce. So what you do, statues are taken down and put part of the new platforms, reuse the same statues and pieces for new platforms, and then they buy another statue to represent the same people that were on the platform before or later. After the 1300s, There were too many people to, and then forced the same people to make tunnels and all this. You see the mark right there?
Yes.
Cypress and all around the platform, there's tunnels with human remains inside. The whole platform is built on top of human remains.
Interesting.
The tunnel, you go in one, that's why there's one flat rock in front of the platform. That's one entrance
To the tunnel.
to one section in here, and there's another one on the other side for one section that way.
There's another entrance to the tunnel. I asked why the people just didn't put little tiny moais up to represent each person who died. And obviously the people were thinking on a grandiose scale. If I can't have a big moai, then forget it. So those are the oldest. Then came this one over here. And then the top knot one way back there with eyes.
4 eyes put in 1996.
The older ramps that was restored that the natives used to get their boats, their canoes, down to the water. Treacherous going out there. To know what you're doing or you're going to get dashed against those rocks.